Hey guys, welcome back to Sourdough Basics with Kate. Today we are going to make a quick bread that does not have sourdough in it. This one does use yeast, but it's super fun. And I will try to come up with a way to incorporate some of that sourdough starter in there. I know it can be done, I just haven't perfected it yet. So we are going to make cinnamon star bread. Other countries call this flour bread or snowflake bread, but the recipe we are using today is from King Arthur flour, and it is called cinnamon star bread. There are a few things you're going to need to make this recipe successfully today. You can probably substitute if you don't have some of these materials, but a good kitchen scale is necessary when you're baking. A flour sifter today. If you don't have a flour sifter, a strainer will do just fine. A dough hook, if you're going to be using your mixer to knead this bread, a dough hook is necessary. You're going to need a bench knife as well, a rolling pin, and then like a pizza-sized baking dish, because this bread is going to be round. All right, we're going to move right over here and talk about our ingredients. So our ingredients today for making the dough, we need 2 cups of unbleached all-purpose flour, which is here, a 1/4 cup of the potato flour, and this is kind of where you can find Bob's Red Mill makes a potato flour. You can also use instant mashed potatoes or like a dried potato flake. You need a 1/4 cup of non-fat dry milk, and that comes in little packets that are in the box there. You need 3/4 cup of lukewarm water, a 1/4 cup of unsalted butter at room temperature, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, 2 teaspoons instant yeast, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and a tablespoon of salt. And then for the filling, we are going to talk about that a little bit later. So we're going to start with the dough. Both of my kiddos are going to make a version of this cinnamon star bread. So I'm going to walk them through that. So you are going to hear the directions twice, which is usually pretty helpful when you're trying to follow along with a baking tutorial. So Anna over here, she's going to start with, you don't need that yet at all. You're going to start with that bowl. Cameron, over here, you are starting with this bowl here. All right. So Anna's going to use the strainer here to sift her flours together. So hold that there. Cameron is going to use the flour sifter. So hold that right here. All right. So first thing we are going to do, we are going to put our flours through our sifter with our potato flakes in it. So I'm just going to go ahead and dump those potato flakes into the flour mixture. Go ahead. And then this is pretty small, so what we're going to do is we are going to just go through little bits of it at a time, okay? So go ahead, Anna. Yours can all go right through that strainer. I'll do this part. You just, so you can maybe come close and watch what Anna's doing and watch what Cameron's doing. Keep going. All right, yep, you're doing great, guys. I think the strainer method is definitely a faster method. Now, while they are doing that, we are going to put the yeast and the sugar in the warm water. So we've got about 100-degree water, 2 teaspoons of yeast, and 2 tablespoons of sugar. Excuse me, I'm going to grab, where did there we go. And we're going to mix this together, and while they're getting that flour ready. And then Cameron, I've seen some recipes that call for milk. And so for Cameron's loaf, we are actually going to use milk and yeast and sugar. So that's Anna's. So we have warm milk, 2 teaspoons of instant yeast, and 2 tablespoons of sugar. All right, yep, you're almost done. So that last little bit, if it doesn't come out, that's fine. Set it right over there. And actually, Cameron, why don't we speed up your process by dumping all that right in there, and go ahead and dump the rest of your flour in there as well. All right, we're going to add the non-fat dry milk in there now. There you go. Anna, let's, you already got yours in there? No, I don't have dry milk. All right, so we have added all of our flours and our non-fat dry milk and our potato flour. And we are going to be adding our butter, our liquid and yeast and sugar and salt. So basically we are going to be making our dough. So we're mixing all the dough ingredients, and we are going to be mixing them with our KitchenAid mixer. So Anna, go ahead and put your butter, your yeast, your water, and your salt in there. Cameron, go ahead and put your milk, your yeast, your sugar, salt, butter. All of it goes right in your...
Can I use this to get it out?
Yeah, yeah. Use your spatulas. And make sure that you don't leave any yeast on the side of the bowls, because that's what's going to help your bread rise. Awesome. Here's your butter. Go ahead and scoop that in there. You've got your butter. All right, and she's got her salt. This is kind of what we're working with right now. We are going to go ahead and attach that to the KitchenAid mixer here. And we are going to mix that for about 5 to 7 minutes. We'll get Cameron's mixed up, and then we'll show you how to transfer it into a greased bowl. All right, so we have mixed our dough. We've included 2 cups of flour, 1/4 cup of potato flour, 1/4 cup of special dry milk or non-fat dry milk, about 190, actually we went a little higher. We did the 227 grams of lukewarm water and milk, or milk. We did 1/4 cup of unsalted butter at room temperature, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, 2 teaspoons of yeast, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and 1 teaspoon of salt. And then we mix them into a dough. We are going to spray a small bowl so that we can transfer our dough and it can rise. Whoops, sorry. I'm going to grab Cameron's dough, and actually I think this is backwards. Here we go. So Anna's dough is here. We're going to cover it lightly with some saran wrap. And then Cameron's dough is here, and we are going to do the same thing. We are going to let it rise for 60 minutes, and we are going to make sure that it doubles in size. So hopefully this one will be coming out over the top, and this one will be filling up about that much more of the bowl. So we'll see you in 60 minutes. All right, it has been an hour, and the dough has risen. You can hear the baby in the background. We're watching my sister's baby, so... little extra noise for this section. That's all right. We are going to carefully dump out our dough that's very nice and puffy. The nice thing about this is we don't need it to stay nice and puffy, because we are going to be dividing it into 4 sections. So go ahead and try to make some 4 equal sections. A bench knife is the easiest tool to use for this. You could just use a regular knife as well for this. There you go. And then once you've got them into 4 similar sized sections, you just pat them into a ball. And then you can let them sit for another 15 minutes just to help you keep the shape while we are rolling them out. But for the sake of the video, we're just going to move on from here. I don't see the point in letting them sit for another 15 minutes. It's not like bread where it's going to hold this shape. What we are going to do is we are going to flatten this into a circular pizza crust almost. So I'm going to just use my fingers here to start to flatten it. And you'll see I've got some parchment paper here. And I am going to make sure that we just do a little bit of flour here. A little bit of flour here. I can tell this dough is really nice. It's not very sticky, so I don't think I'm going to have too much trouble with it. When I start my rolling, I do want to start with a circular piece of dough because if you start with a square, it's going to be really hard to make it into a circle. So we are just going to go ahead and gently do some rolling. I like to kind of just flip my dough a little bit, make sure that there's some flour underneath it. If you have one of those nice silicone baking mats, I ordered one from Amazon, still waiting on that, but that would be perfect for this. And we are going for about a 10-inch circle. It doesn't really matter if it's a perfect 10-inch circle or not, but all 4 of your pieces do have to be the same size. That's the biggest takeaway here. I am going to use one of our mixing bowls, one of our big garbage mixing bowls, and whoops, that was, you can see how this kind of can go backwards here. All right, I can see I gotta go a little bit more here.
I went off of the edge a little bit over here too.
Yep. All right. All right, so I think it's pretty good. It's not perfect, but we're not selling these, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. Then we are going to trim the extra.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, what's the question?
What could we do with the extra?
You could just make it into a little cinnamony cake kind of thing. So hold this down. Now we are going to transfer our circle onto a piece of parchment paper. So I know it's got to go here. Nope. Transfer it here. And we are then going to move on to the next dough. We are going to do this with all 4 pieces of dough. So we'll see you back shortly. Okay, we've got all 4 of our dough circles kind of cut out and made smaller. Now for this one, we are just going to use Nutella in between the layers. For Cameron's, we will be doing the egg wash and we're going to add the cinnamon sugar combo. But for Anna, we are going to just do the Nutella. So basically, the goal is just to carefully spread an even, pretty thin layer of Nutella across the dough here. If your dough is pretty wet and sticky, you might have to either microwave your Nutella for about 10 or 15 seconds, or on the opposite end, you could put your dough back in the fridge for maybe 10-15 minutes. I think your best bet would probably be to microwave the Nutella because your dough does need to sit and rise for about 45 minutes after it's shaped. All right, so we've got our first layer of Nutella almost done here. Trying to be pretty thin with it. So we are going to then add the second circle of dough on top. Pretty much carefully pick it up like a pizza dough. Line it up. Gently. Thank you, Finnegan. You can take them out for a little walk around the backyard, Cammie. All right, Anna, why don't you do this again? Gently. We are going to layer the dough, Nutella, dough, Nutella, dough, Nutella, and then dough. Nothing on top of that last layer. We'll see in a few minutes. Okay, so we have layered everything except for the very top layer. Go ahead and grab it. And carefully put it right on top there. Nice work. If you were going to be you're maybe giving these away as gifts, you could trim around that edge and just make it perfect, but we're not going to worry about that. The next step, you are going to place a cookie cutter in the middle, and that's just for a guide, because we are going to be doing some cutting with our bench knife. Nope. Now, I am going to kind of show Anna the basics, and then I'm going to let her do some of it as well. So I'm going to just set that there. I'm going to do a north, south, east, west cut, so all the way through the layers, just going straight across, but I'm leaving that centerpiece straight across, leaving the centerpiece. And then Anna's going to come and over the lines I'm imprinting, she is going to cut through another 2 times for each section. And that's going to give us 16 petals that we are going to turn into some really cool stars. So go ahead and, yep, all the way through. Perfect. You can keep going. It is easier if it's on parchment that you can just keep turning the parchment so you don't have to reach across right here. Nice work, Miss Anna. This one. Good job. And 2 more. Great. So now we have 16 little wings here. I'm going to trim this guy because he did get a little out of control. And the next step is we take 2 of these guys that are next to each other, and we do 2 turns. So 1 turn, 2 turns, and we pinch the end together. So Anna's going to watch me one more time. So we take 2 that are next to each other, we do 1 turn, 2 turns, and pinch that end together. So go ahead and we'll work our way around the star. 1, 2, pinch those ends together. Yep, I'll turn it. I'll do 1, you do 1. And a 1, 2, pinch those ends together. Nice work. So we have a really nice star going. What we are going to do now is slide it onto a pizza pan or a cookie sheet, and we are going to let it rise for 45 minutes. Now I'm going to grab Cameron, and we are going to show you how to make a strawberry jam and cinnamon sugar filled one. All right, we've got Cameron back, and we've got his dough has risen. I did notice that using milk instead of water did seem to make the dough rise less quickly, and it did feel a little bit less like elastic, I guess. So I guess the taste test will be the final answer. So first thing we're going to do is chop our bread into 4 equal-sized pieces. Cameron, can you help me kind of roll these into balls? So just like pat it into a ball. Once again, we are going to go straight from patting into a ball into shaping into our discs. I don't see the point in letting it rise for another 15 minutes. Just doesn't make sense to me, and it works out okay without doing that step. So if you want to be true to the recipe, at this point you would leave it alone for 15 minutes. But we are going to go ahead and start rolling these guys out. It is much easier to maintain a circular shape, just like with Anna's, is if you start with a circular shape. So that's why I kind of just use my hands to create a circle. We're going to flour a little bit here. I do flour my rolling pin because it's silicone. So I like to frequently adjust my dough when I'm rolling it out into a circle. I like to flip it over. This allows me to ensure it's not sticking to my granite countertop. And also it allows me to kind of watch as the dough sucks back into itself. This dough is doing that more than Anna's did. So once again, if you choose to use milk instead of water, it might just be a little bit of a different workability, I guess is what I would say. Now, right when you think you're about where you need to be, that's when you're going to grab your measurement device. You could use a dinner plate. Our dinner plates are square, so they're not super helpful in this situation. Or a mixing bowl. I used my salad bowl here. I think I just need to go a little bit more this way, and then we've mostly got it. Now, if you have one of those fancy silicone mats made for pastry, you can measure it out on the circles that are on there. So we've got a pretty good circle here. Gonna just trim that extra going all the way around. And then we are going to transfer it to parchment sheet. Can you hold on to that, bud? You hold on to 2 parts and I will transfer this circle. Here we go. Just flip it over there. And now that's where it's going to kind of chill. I'm going to pop those extra bits over there. Anna wanted to create something with them. So, Cameron, it is now your turn. Let's try to roll this out. So we are going to take the next about 5 to 10 minutes and roll out the other 4 pieces of dough, and then, or the other 3 pieces, and then we'll see you back. All right, we have our 4 dough circles cut out, and Cameron is going to be doing a cinnamon and sugar mixture and a layer with homemade strawberry jam in there. So we're going to mix about 2 tablespoons of cinnamon in about a half a cup of sugar. That's going to make probably quite a bit more than we need here because we are adding some jam to ours. But we've got an egg that's been beaten here, so go ahead and brush egg all over that layer. Vinny, good job. Finnegan's drawing over there. Yeah, good job, buds. We're going to get all the way to those edges. There you go, bud. And then we are going to do a layer of the sprinkled cinnamon and sugar. We're going to leave about a 1/4 inch around the edge without toppings. There you go. The egg can stay on there, but we're going to go around the whole thing, leaving about a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch without toppings. That's going to help it stick together. All right, fill in the middle with some of the topping. Good job, good job. Just sprinkle it evenly all over the whole thing. Then we're going to add the next layer. There you go. Confidence, dude. Just chuck it on there. We are not selling these guys for profit. So not too concerned. We just want it to taste good, right? So the easiest thing to do is just grab the next layer, slide it on top, try to line it up a little bit. Then I think for this layer we are going to just do some homemade strawberry jam. And then we're going to sprinkle some cinnamon over the top of that. Once again, I am going to leave that 1/4 inch around the entire circle. Cameron, why don't you grab the cinnamon and start adding that on top. There are many different toppings that you can use for your Starbread. I've even seen this made into a savory pizza dough. So you add marinara sauce and pepperoni and cheese in between the layers, or brie and prosciutto. Maybe a little, whoops, sorry, a little bit over here. And then let me get it towards you. There you go. We're going to do one more layer with our cinnamon and sugar blend, and then we are going to put the top on. All right, let's get that egg wash on there quick, and then you can do the, you want to do this one or the cinnamon sugar? All right, you do the egg wash, I'll do the cinnamon sugar. Great, buddy. Now this is the last layer that needs toppings, And I'm just going to keep that in mind when I sprinkle the cinnamon sugar mixture on there. All right, you going to put the top on?
Sure.
All right, grab that top. All right, grab that top, place it on there. Yep, grab it, pull it. There you go. All right, so we have our circle. We're going to place that in the center. Once again, we are going to be using our bench knife to go ahead and cut this into fourths. Right up to that, the circle cutter. Then I'm going to mark these two, and Cameron's going to go around and cut each section into thirds. And once again, that gives us 16 little sections. So go ahead, you're going to start here, go all the way through, press hard, all the way, oops, all the way to the bottom, pull out. This one, all the way to the bottom. Good job. Now I'm going to turn it. Nope, already done. There you go. Awesome. Perfect. Good job. There you go. Yep, and one more. Nope, not press that all the way through. That's all right. We're going to see what happens when you press that all the way through. Okay. Generally, don't press that through. It's going to separate, but we're going to make it work. Okay, so watch how we do this, okay? We are going to take two of these little stars, and we are going to flip them twice, and then pinch those ends together. Flip them twice, pinch those ends together. Go ahead and try. So you're going to flip them, yep, one more time. There you go, and put the ends together now. Pinch them. Yep, like this. Good job. And then you take the other ones. Are you going towards or out? You can go out. As long as you do the same thing for each one, it shouldn't matter. Good job, yep. Good job. Let's pull this guy here. Here, you do that one, I'll do this one. 1, 2. How many times you going around there, buddy? 2? Okay. Alright, we have this beautiful star shape. I'm going to go back around it one more time and just seal these edges. Some jelly coming out, that's alright. And then we are going to let this rise for 45 minutes before taking the next step, which is an egg wash and baking. We'll see you soon. Alright, the bread has been rising for about 45 minutes. It's a little bit bigger and a little bit puffier in appearance. And the next step is to take a egg wash, which is just an egg that's been beat, and just go gently over the top of the entire bread. There you go. And then we are going to bake this in an oven that has been preheated to 400 degrees. It's going to bake for about, I think, recipe says, what, 20? Bake it for 12 to 15 minutes. And I think the last one I baked, it did need a little bit more time than that. So just watch it. If you use a thermometer, once the internal temperature is 200 degrees, then it's baked through. This does get a little bit, it's almost like monkey bread or caramel rolls, cinnamon rolls, and it does kind of seep underneath. It's a really yummy, beautiful thing. We will be showing you that. The egg wash on top just helps it make it be a very beautiful caramelized color. I'm gonna quickly do this here. You can use just egg whites. We just followed the directions and used an entire egg. All right, let's get this guy in the oven. Anna, can you open that up for me?
Yeah.
Great. All right. Go ahead. All right. Cameron, are you ready? We're gonna get Cameron to get his going now as well. Okay, Cam. Looks like as it rose, it pulled apart a little bit. I'm just going to use a little bit of egg in between these little petals that came apart. Just a little bit of egg and then squish them back together. That works pretty well to glue them together. And here he is. All right, you showed up. Go ahead and brush the entire top with that egg wash. And when Anna's is done baking, we're going to pop yours in. And as soon as they're both done, we will visit you guys and show you the end results. All right, we have baked both of our cinnamon star bread and our Nutella star bread. And we are going to just do a little bit of powdered sugar on top. It just makes it pretty. And then we are going to try them. Now, these usually come apart fairly easily, so I'm just going to take one of these little guys, and if you can see that, what do you think?
Oh my god, it's so good.
So good? So good?
You can taste the Nutella.
Awesome.